All right, what's up, everyone? This is a new episode of Sports Harder coming at you on this Wednesday evening. I am your host, Maddie Lukewarm Ice, and as always, my co-host is Chris the Gorilla Binder.
What's up?
How's it going, Chris?
Good. I bowled great tonight.
Oh, that's how you want to start off the night, having a good bowling night.
Yeah, bowling with a migraine, and I still shot a 650, so I'm happy.
Nice, that's living the dream right there. All right, well, we got a lot of stuff to cover because we had a bye week last week, so we'll kind of make up for that and talk about some of the new stuff that happened. So let's start off with first and foremost, the breaking news of the day for today was Bruce Arians of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the head coach, stepping down to take more of a front office role with the Buccaneers. I'm assuming with the Buccaneers at least. And then
Yeah,
Todd Bowles, now the defensive coordinator, stepping up and becoming the head coach. How does this impact Tom Brady? How does this impact the team in general? You think it's going to be much of a difference, or it's basically he's just taking over what Bruce Arians already created?
I think he's just taking over what Arians already created. The big thing though is there's been rumor mill about Brady wanting to be traded over to Miami, but like I don't know what. I mean, I'd give him a beast of a team with everything Miami's done, but what what would a team offer to trade for a 45-year-old quarterback that is going to retire next year? Like he technically retired this year and then came out of retirement. So what
Yeah,
what do the Dolphins actually offer to the Bucks for him? Like the
five
Bucks
number one picks,
the
five
Bucks
first
got
round picks.
no, like that can't even be a serious like thought. The guy is 45 years old. You're going to ruin your entire future on a chance at getting an old washed up Tom Brady?
No, it's more so risking all of that to get one Super Bowl because that's all you get out of them basically is one Super Bowl.
If they even make it. They still have to get past Josh Allen and the Bills. Then they got to get past the Chiefs, the Raiders, the Chargers, the Broncos, who've all beefed up. And then you have the Ravens who are going to be in the mix, the Bengals in the mix, and now the Browns if Deshaun Watson can actually play. I mean, the AFC is stacked. Does he really want to come back over to the AFC and like tarnish his career? Oh, I played with Miami Dolphins and we didn't even make the playoffs.
I mean, that's how the players who don't know when to retire usually end their career, right? They usually end up not riding off into the sunset like a Peyton Manning, because they're not smart enough to know when to call it good. So yeah, I mean, potentially Tom Brady, as smart as everyone says he is, he might not be emotionally smart enough to know when to hang it up. And he
Yeah.
might think, well, I can go back and do it again. I'll prove that I can do it on three different teams. I mean, everyone's giving credit to LeBron because he did it on three different teams. So, maybe Tom Brady's trying to go down the same route. Like, I want to show that I can win on any team. Like, literally put me on any team and they're going to win type of thing.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just don't know about how much he really has left in the tank. Like, don't get me wrong, he's 45 years old and he's still throwing the ball better than I ever could. But still, like, dude, it's time to hang it up. Like, you're already the most Super Bowl winning quarterback of all time. Like, you've proven yourself over and over. You have nothing left to prove. Like, you are a shoe-in first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Like, just hang it up. It's time. I don't
Yeah.
know.
And I think he'll regret not staying with it because I feel like you said, maybe they don't make the playoffs, or if they do, they're not going to make it to the Super Bowl. I feel like almost like he's not comfortable with hanging it up unless it's a Super Bowl, and it's just like you should have done that when you won it with the Bucks the first time. Then, like you should have
Right?
just called it quits then.
You win at home, first team to ever do that, win the Super Bowl at home without playing a
Yep.
single playoff game at home, and then you win at home, hang it up. Like you've proven yourself. Like you proved that you didn't need Belichick to win.
Yep. That
Like,
was the big thing, yeah.
you already proved it, that it wasn't the system that got you there. It was you. It's time to hang it up, man. Let the young kids come in and try to prove themselves, you know? But I don't know. Like, he's starting to remind me of Brett Favre, and it's
I
bugging
was gonna
me.
say, yeah, Brett Favre, yeah.
It's just
Retire
time.
4 different times and come back into 4 different teams.
And then go to the NFC Championship with a, what, 13-3 team or 12-4 team, something like that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, it'll be interesting. I think Todd Bowles will do well, but he's got to think long term and think, who am I going to replace Tom Brady with? Because yeah, like you said, you're only going to get a year out of him, you would think at least. So you got to think more long term as the new head coach, what your plan is going forward. And I don't know if the best idea is to get someone in the draft this year, because obviously the draft isn't really stacked with quarterbacks. So is the plan to mortgage your future to get a quarterback from some other team, or what's the best option for them after that going forward to kind of rebuild and continue with what they have. So it'll be interesting because Bruce Arians came in and basically built that team in free agency. Like he brought in all those players from free agency basically by having Tom Brady, and then Tom Brady, of course, has the pull because he's considered the GOAT, and he got all these players to come and play with him because I mean, hell, he got Rob Gronkowski to come out of retirement to play with him to win another Super Bowl. So I mean, Tom Brady has that pull. So once you don't have him anymore, what what's going to be your plan going forward after that? So it's kind of interesting that Bruce Arians backed out now, and then now Todd Bowles kind of has to make up for all the stuff that he put together. I mean, he gets the one year of every having all the pieces together still, but then after that, he's got to figure out stuff on his own, and then we'll see how good of a head coach he actually is.
Well, and if Arians is going front office, maybe he's still got a little say in the poll, like, hey, this is who we want to draft. This is kind of the route we want to go. He's still going to be in Todd Bowles' ear, chirping a
Yeah,
little bit.
yeah,
I don't know. I think it was a great move for Arians to retire. Like, he's burnt out of coaching, dude. He's 60 years old. He doesn't want to coach anymore. So moving to front office, that's not a bad thing.
yeah. And he got his Super Bowl. That's what he wanted.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely agree with that. Other news as well in the NFL, the overtime rules officially changing for the postseason. And we kind of all know this was due to the Buffalo Bills Chiefs game that everyone made a big deal about because, the Bills never got a chance to go down the field and, um, score as well to tie it up again. Now, I think you know a little bit more about it than I do. Is it you, if the first team goes down and scores whatever, the other team has to get the same or better when they get their possession. But what if they match it? Do they continue just having to match back and forth until someone wins?
No. So what it is each team has a chance to possess the ball. So no matter what, if the first team goes down and scores a touchdown, second team has to go down and score a touchdown, and then it's sudden death. At that point, it's next point wins. Doesn't matter who it is, what it is. So you had a chance to stop the other team, and then you have the ball. If you fail to stop the other team and you still score, then you have to stop the team a second time and keep
The
them from
second
even
time?
kicking a field goal. Yeah. So that's how it's going to work out. Is it you both have a chance. If the score is still tied after both teams have a possession, then it goes to sudden death. So basically, what it is now, except for you can't win it by a touchdown.
Yeah,
That's the only difference. Like, because right now, if both teams possess the ball and both teams kick a field goal after a possession of both teams, next score wins.
even
But
if
if you
it's a field goal.
Yeah, but if you stop the team and they don't score anything and then you go down and kick a field goal, it's game over because you both possess the ball. So that's
That's
really that's
true.
really the only difference that it's making is it's giving the other team an opportunity to match.
Yeah, which, who knows how the Bills Chiefs playoff game would have turned out. And apparently, this is only for the playoffs. So I'm
Yes.
assuming the regular season is still going to be if the other team goes down, scores a touchdown, it's over.
Yeah. So it's only during the playoffs that both teams get a chance to possess the ball.
Which I think is kind of interesting. I mean, I don't know why they don't do that during the regular season as well, because a lot of those games can kind of determine who's going to get into the playoffs or not. So,
I agree.
those games
But
matter too.
maybe the playoffs, I think what it is the playoffs is going to be the test to determine how it works and if it works properly. If it works, they may move it to the regular season. But you have a better chance at more ties if you're doing it during the regular season. Because that's the thing in the playoffs, you cannot tie. You're going to play until it's over, until somebody gets that final score. So, say first team goes down, scores a touchdown, second team goes down, scores a touchdown, and then they just play back and forth without either team scoring. It goes into second overtime, third overtime, fourth overtime, whatever it needs until one of the teams score. Where in the regular season, if you're tied at the end of overtime, it's a tie.
Yeah.
It's not a win, it's not a loss. But in the playoffs, you don't have that opportunity because one team has to move on.
Yeah, that's true. I guess with having that tie, it kind of does play a factor with that as well. So, I mean, we've seen that where like a team will tie, and then all of a sudden the playoff scenario is like all kinds of crazy because of a tie. It's like, oh, who was it? One team, wasn't it like the Jaguars still had a chance, even though they had only won like 2 games or something because someone tied? It was something nuts like that.
Yeah, if they had won out, they would have gotten into the playoffs. I think that was like week 10. They were like 2-8, and they were like, if they win out, they could actually make the playoffs because of this tie.
It's so crazy. So I
Right?
mean, yeah. So ties, I guess that is true. Plays a factor in with that. So that's understandable. So we'll see how that plays out. It was interesting because there was a lot of overtime in the playoffs this past year or past season or however you want to phrase it. So it'll be interesting to see. Watch, there won't be like any overtimes now for the
Well,
next coming playoff.
like if you look at it, like the who was it? The Ravens. It was the Ravens and Steelers and the Colts that were all super close to getting into the playoffs this last year, right? And the Raiders beating the Chargers kicked the Chargers out, and the Steelers got in because they tied the Lions. Had they lost to the Lions, it would have been either the Colts or the Ravens going in. I don't remember which one it was, but it wouldn't have been the Steelers if they had lost to the Lions. But they
Yeah.
tied the Lions and they got into the playoffs.
Oh man. So yeah, we'll see how many games actually go into overtime to actually see how this works out in the playoffs. Like I said, it'd be funny if none of the games went into overtime, so you don't even get to see the rule change even take into effect.
Right.
Um, but we'll see with that. Playoff games. I mean, obviously teams are they're supposed to be the top teams, so I mean those games are usually pretty close, anyways. But we had a lot of overtimes this past season. It was nuts. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so the other thing for NFL, they announced the Detroit Lions will be hosting Hard Knocks this season. The glamorous and the highly sought after Detroit Lions team. Obviously, your first reaction there, not very excited about this.
Dude, I've met like 5 Lions fans in my entire life. Like 5. And they've been fans since Barry Sanders.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? Why are they doing Hard Knocks for the Lions? Like, that's going to ruin their ratings. They're not going to have people watching them.
I'll watch it just because I'm obsessed with the show. But yeah, like casual watchers, yeah, they'll just be like, well, nothing interests me in this. So and it'll be interesting to see who they focus on. Obviously the coach that they have there, it's only his second season, so they'll focus in on him. Whoever they get in the draft, obviously, as their first pick will be focused on. Jared Goff, I'm assuming he's already been on Hard Knocks before, so I'm assuming they'll probably focus on that as well
I
and
think they're
talking
going to
about his
focus on.
transition.
I think they're going to focus a lot on the wide receiving core. It's like, bless you, but like
Thank you.
Amon Ross St. Brown, like that dude's a monster. He's so good, and
We'll we'll
he's on a
see.
shitty team.
We'll see. I mean, he kind of came into his own, obviously, this season. Towards the end, he made a big fantasy football push. A lot of people picked him up because him and Jared Goff were like clicking towards the end. But we'll
Like they
see if they
weren't
can.
winning, but
Yeah, like I said, a fantasy football push, but not an actual like getting a W push. But we'll see if they can like continue that chemistry, or if people will actually pick them up like in their draft, like during the draft instead of just picking him up in free agency. So it'll be interesting to see his stock if it's going to keep on going up or not. I think now a lot of the focus will be, at least for me, is the HBO's in season Hard Knocks. The Colts one was amazing. I enjoyed every episode. I loved it. Got to see a lot with the owner, which was cool, and got to see a lot with the head coach. Um, some of the players too. I mean, they could have kept a lot of these things private, but like I know the one, like the center, losing their child like before she was born, and like the way that the Colts organization like handled that, and it could have been a lot of it because they were on Hard Knocks, but even if it was, I still praise the Colts organization on how they handled it and the way they supported him and his family so well. So I loved every minute of it. So I think I'm more excited about the in-season Hard Knocks to see which team they'll pick. Um, it usually doesn't start until like week 5 or something like that, like 5 or 6. So
I'd love to see the 49ers on there.
yeah, that could be interesting, especially depending what they do with Jimmy G. Because obviously he's still not traded, and I'm assuming people are not throwing out too many offers is why. Um, Even though there's some teams that still need an average quarterback, there's some teams out there. I'm trying to think of some of them that could probably go for Jimmy G right now.
Dude, the Colts could have, but they went for Matt Ryan, like
They went
washed
for
up Matt Ryan.
They're hoping it's going to be like a rejuvenation for Matt Ryan. Like it'll like spark something, having a good defense again, having a top running game again. Because I mean, when they made their Super Bowl run, they had a pretty decent running game. Obviously, they had Julio Jones like in his prime, which helped a lot. And with Julio Jones being a free agent, the Colts are pushing to get him right now. Um, to get that Matt Ryan and him connection again. Which, if I was Julio Jones, I would jump on top of it. Why not? You already know you have a good connection with him. It's a pretty decent team, especially with that defense. So, if I was him, I would highly consider looking into it. And of course, we have no idea where he's going as of right now. A lot of these top name free agents out there still haven't been signed. So the Bobby Wagners, Stephon Gilmore's,
Tyrann
Tyron
Matthew.
Matthew, like, you know,
There's a lot still. There really is.
and I don't know what it is. If it's just like money negotiations, like they're not getting the offers that they want, or what's going on with it. I know the Rams with Aaron Donald, they're still trying to figure out his contract. They're still trying to get OBJ as well. I saw a report today that they were trying to get something done for Cooper Kupp as well. So I don't know if they're trying to do something to help out with his contract too. Because I mean, he had one of the greatest seasons, at least last season with Matthew Stafford. So I think they're trying to do something for his contract too to kind of keep him happy.
And isn't he still on his rookie contract?
He
Cup.
might
He's on.
be.
I think he's on year. I think last year was year 4, so they had the 5th-year option for this upcoming year. So he's still on the rookie contract. It could be this is year 4. I don't know, but they definitely want to get an extension done with him.
Yeah, exactly. So And of course, the other big thing that we didn't get to talk about was the Devonte Adams, going to at least I don't think we were able to talk about that.
No, because it happened, but after. So our last podcast that we did with Larry said, "Oh, Devonte Adams is going to go to the Raiders," and I said, "No way, we're going to pay the price that the Packers are asking for him. Like, we're not going to do that. The Raiders will not make that trade. They made the damn trade the next day."
Yeah, I remember because then Larry messaged Justin and was like, "See, I told you."
I was like, "What the hell?" I'm excited for it. I'm definitely excited for it, but what the hell? Like, made me look like a fool as a Raiders fan. I was like, yeah, we're not going to make that trade. And then we made that trade. And then we made him the richest freaking wide receiver in the league at 5 years, 100 or
20.
yeah, it was 5 years, 121 million a year. So it was like just under, it was like 28 million a year total or something like that. And then Tyreek gets traded and gets 4 years, 120 million for 30 million a year. So Tyreek's now the richest wide receiver. Cooper Cup's going to want to be up in that range. But the Raiders right now are also they're in contract talks with for an extension for Derek Carr as well. And he wants upwards of like 40 million a year, but he said he'd take a pay cut if we went out and got Devonte Adams. So I'm wondering if he's willing to take that pay cut and drop down to like 28 to 30 million a year, Make the same amount as your receiver. Prove that we can actually win now that they've put all the tools around him. They've upgraded and beefed up the defense. We haven't done shit with our offensive line, but dude, we have freaking Devonte Adams, Darren Waller, and Hunter Renfro as our receiving core. Was Josh Jacobs and Kenyon Drake coming out of the backfield? Like, that is a beast offense. But I do know one thing, and I'll shout this out to the rooftop. This year, Derek Carr is going to prove all the haters wrong. That he's not a shitty quarterback. Like, I see so many posts about how bad Derek Carr is, and I'm like, he's like second highest completion percentage in his career.
So you think he's going to pull like a Matthew Stafford, where he has like the talent around him to be able to finally prove and be like, hey, I told you the whole time, like, this is what I needed. So basically, you're saying he's going to pull a Matthew Stafford.
Yeah, I could see. I don't see them going to the Super Bowl. Don't give me that. And I'm not going to sit and say this is our year. Blah blah blah. Like, no, it's bullshit. He has great camaraderie with all three of the receivers. He really does. And then we've got Brian Edwards and Demarcus Robinson that are like kind of the number 3, number 4 receivers. We got speedsters. We've got guys with hands. We've got big guys. We've got guys that are amazing. Like Devonte Adams and Hunter Renfro are two of the best receivers in the league, I think. Devonte Adams definitely top 5. Absolutely top 5. And then you've got Hunter Renfro, who's probably the best slot receiver in the entire game.
Yeah, he kind of reminds me of like a Julian Edelman type guy,
More Wes Welker.
or Wes Welker too.
You,
Yeah,
you throw a ball at him, he's going to catch it and he'll take a hit, or
yeah,
he'll juke you out of your damn shoes. Like that dude, I've watched some of his routes. He has some of the cleanest routes, and like he jukes people out of their shoes.
yeah,
Literally, like there's been defenders that have like he does this little cut and then he cuts back and then he cuts back again. And like the defender falls down and their shoes fall off. Like, holy crap, because they're trying to keep up with him. And he
yeah,
was a 5th round pick.
yeah.
Like, that's insane.
Yeah, that was the same with Cooper Cup. He was like a 3rd or 4th round pick or something like that, and now he's a Super Bowl MVP. Like, it's just
Right?
that's nuts. So, yeah, I definitely see the comparison there for sure. So if Derek Carr, if he doesn't do it, then he's
It's
kind
time
of
to move on.
SOL on his career with the Raiders.
Yep.
Like, I don't think they can really, what is it called, like cater to any more keeping him around. Basically, it's like we gave you what you needed and you still couldn't get it done, and then then he would be out the door. It's like you said, Tyreek Hill going to the Dolphins. Tua is kind of in the same position now of like, okay, you have Tyreek Hill, you have Waddle, you have
Raheem Mostert,
Raheem Mostert. Yeah, I was
Mike
trying to think of him.
Gesicki.
Yeah, Mike Gesicki. You have all the tools, so it's just like again, I think Miami's like, all right, you get 1 year. If not, then we're gonna get somebody else. You're a bust. So
So I think the biggest thing they're going to have to look at with Derek Carr, because last year he put up 4,800 yards, hit 4,800 yards, 27 touchdowns, 14 picks. I mean, the offensive line was atrocious. He got hit a lot. He had 9 fumbles, I think, last year. So, I mean, his stat line was kind of hurting a little bit, other than his yardage. He's able to complete the long ball. He's able to be there. Our offensive line sucked, but we had the 31st ranked defense, 31st against the pass. We had like 19th against the run. But when you're 31st against the pass and your team's giving up 35 plus points a game, like it's hard for a quarterback to come back from that. Even though Derek Carr has the most comeback wins in the fourth quarter or overtime of any quarterback since he came into the league.
yeah,
But I think one of the things you're going to have to look at is if our defense is in the top 15, which with everybody that we've picked up, it should be. Absolutely should be. If our defense is in the top 10 or top 15 and we have all these weapons around Derek Carr, if he doesn't get it done, that's an issue. But if our defense is back in the bottom like 10 again, and he throws for 5,000 yards and like 40 touchdowns and 5 interceptions or 10 interceptions, and we can't get it done, we can't really hold that against Derek Carr. Like the team
that's true.
cannot hold that against Derek Carr. If the team's giving up 35 plus points a game, that's not something you can hold against a quarterback. That's against the defense. Like our defense needs to step up. But if Derek Carr is causing this by throwing massive amounts of picks or fumbling the ball consistently, like he has been the last couple of years, then we need to look at, okay, Derek, you're not keeping the defense off the field to rest. So of course they're not going to be that good. There's a lot of stipulations that need to go behind that, but I think this is a year that Derek Carr actually does prove the haters wrong and prove that he's better than his brother was.
Well, I mean, I think he's already proven that, to be honest. But yeah,
No,
we'll see with that. I think he's already proven. I mean, because he's lasted longer in the league already than his brother had.
his
So
brother has a Super Bowl ring.
yeah, as a backup.
Doesn't matter. He's got a Super Bowl ring.
Yeah,
And,
I
and
mean,
and that Super Bowl ring came from beating the Patriots.
yep.
So he's got
Sitting
a
behind
ring.
good old Eli.
I,
Um,
the problem with Carr is his record. It's 57-70 through his career. The only
yeah.
person that has a worse winning record as a starting quarterback was his brother.
There you go. Yeah, you don't want that as your legacy for sure. So I don't think we were able to talk about this either. I don't think it happened with the last podcast. So Deshaun Watson signing, well, not signing, but being traded to the Cleveland Browns, and getting basically all of his money guaranteed, all of it. So
Wasn't
it
it like 5 years, 250 million or something like that?
Yeah,
Or was
it's
it
like
4 years, 200
so it was 230 million.
for 4 years?
Yeah, I think it was for 4 years.
4 years, 230 million, fully guaranteed. And they don't even know if he's going to be able to play because he's got a federal indictment on him.
Yeah, and the Browns give up 3 first-round picks and 2 other additional ones. So
I
they
think it was like
gave
a
up.
third and a fifth.
Yeah, they gave up a lot to bring him to Cleveland, and now basically Baker is like, okay, well, I mean, he was requesting to be traded anyways, even when the Browns said that they weren't in the running anymore, and they were like, oh no, JK, Baker, you're our guy. And he was like, no, I'm still gone. And so I think Baker kind of forced their hands to give Watson that fully guaranteed money. So that way he would come because Baker already basically was like, well, I'm out the door. I don't care. Um, Still hasn't been traded. So, Baker's still on the team. But I know Baker and the type of personality he is, he probably will refuse to play if he doesn't get traded. So, and then like you said, Deshaun Watson might not even be able to play. If he does play, like he's missed almost 2 years already. Like how good is he actually still going to be?
What
All of
throws
these
me
things
for
are
a
kind of
loop?
up in the air.
What throws me for a loop is like PFF and ESPN and NFL. They all have Deshaun Watson as like the number 3 quarterback in the league. I'm like, how? How is he above like a Matt Stafford or um blah brain fart Tom Brady? He's above like Russell Wilson. Like, how is he above all these guys when he hasn't played for 2 years? Like, you don't know what he's going to come back into. You don't know if he's kept in shape.
Yeah. And then the simple fact that the Browns skyrocketed as Super Bowl favorites after they made the trade. Of course they got Amari Cooper as well in the free agency. I just don't think the Browns still have enough to do anything really, to be honest. Yeah, Deshaun will have a great run game. Obviously, the Browns have had a great run game with Chubb, but the defense, where's that going to be at? That hasn't always lived up to the standards that it had on paper. On paper, it seemed like, oh man, they're going to be beasts on defense, and then Miles
Nothing.
Garrett was the only good thing. So, it's I just don't think they still have the pieces to put anything together just because they have Deshaun Watson. I don't think they magically jump up. Apparently, they have better Super Bowl odds than the Bengals, and the Bengals freaking went out and beefed up their offensive line like hardcore.
And
And
and only lost like 2 people on defense. They
yeah,
lost one of their defensive tackles to the Raiders and then one of their linebackers to another team. I think it was the Rams that he went to.
no, I
I
don't
don't
think
I don't
so.
remember. But they lost 2 of their starters on defense. Like they still have a really stacked defense.
Yeah, so it makes no sense to me. I would definitely put the Bengals right now, at least on paper, over the Browns, at least when it comes to Super Bowl odds. So, and like you said, we don't even know if Deshaun's going to play or not. We'll see how many people will draft him in fantasy just to keep him on their bench and be like, well, if he plays, I'll put him in. you know, so
Yeah.
we'll see who is willing to take a risk on him, basically. And the Browns are willing to take a risk too, I think because they've already started the process of like, he doesn't have a problem. Like he doesn't need to go to therapy. And like, they were saying like the women fan base of the Browns that, they understand their concerns, and like they're like, we would never recruit someone or hire someone to the Browns that would tarnish the reputation of women. And so like we've interviewed Deshaun a bunch of times, and we believe that what he's saying is true. And so they've already started the process of like, okay, we're going to get a lot of backlash for this, and we're going to get a lot of people. I mean, it was like when the Eagles took Michael Vick when he first got out of prison. They had a huge backlash when he got on the team. So I think the Browns are going to have a lot of that as well with having Deshaun on there. They'll have people like protesting outside and stuff like that, I bet.
No, it's really funny. I watched this TikTok the other day and it was this guy. So they always have like um football, like pick your dream team or whatever, pick your team that's going to go to the Super Bowl, and you have to have like a quarterback, a running back, uh, 2 wide receivers, and a tight end, and a defense or an O line or whatever. Well, this guy did a funny one. He was like, "Your prison NFL team," and it was like 2 quarterbacks, 1 running back, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and then a free agent. And he was like, "Number 1 quarterback, Michael Vick." Because
Gosh.
he's a dog. Well, at least he fight dogs. And then number 2, Ben Rapisberger. And then he goes off like the running back was Ray Rice. Wide receiver was like Henry Ruggs. I don't remember who the other wide receiver was. And then it was the tight end Aaron Hernandez. And then the free agent is Deshaun Watson, possibly.
Possibly.
That's
Probably
just
didn't
freaking
put
laugh.
Alvin Kamara in there as his running back.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like this whole like off season has been so crazy. Everybody forgot that Alvin Kamara got arrested for beating somebody up outside of a club.
Yep.
Like that's just like old news. Like nobody remembers it, but hey, it happened.
It happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it happened. Yes, this is very true. It happened. Um, so yeah, I don't think there was anything else that we missed out on that happened, unless there's something that you can think of that we missed with having that bye week last week.
There was so much, dude. I don't know what was when. Like there's been so many like
Well, I went
trades that have
over.
happened.
Yeah, I mean, I went over our Facebook page, Sports Harder Podcast, for whoever wants to go and follow that and look at that. Our I tried to put like all the stuff that we missed. I tried to post it on there, and I'm pretty sure I've gone over every single thing. So I think we're good there.
No, there was a funny thing. After the Chiefs traded Tyreek Hill, they went out and signed Marquez Valdez Scantling, the number 3 receiver, number 4 receiver for the Packers, to 3 years, $30 million. They gave him $10 million a year on the Chiefs, and he's supposed to be like the number 2 receiver for the Chiefs because he's fast. The dude had Aaron Rodgers throwing to him and had more drops than any other receiver in the NFL. Like, why are you paying him $10 million a year? Like, you think he's going to be amazing for the Chiefs? No. Like, nobody's even going to guard him because he can't catch the damn ball. Like,
Yeah.
you think because Patrick Mahomes is throwing to him that he's going to do better than Aaron Rodgers throwing to him? Aaron Rodgers is one of the most accurate quarterbacks to ever grace the NFL.
Yeah, that is true. Um, so real quick before we move into NBA rankings, we'll go over that real quick. I just wanted to do a quick shout out with spring training for baseball right now. The
Yeah.
Cardinals and the Nationals played today. Did you see the score or no?
Uh-uh.
Okay, you didn't see the score, so don't look it up. Guess what the final score was?
21-17.
That is actually really close. 29-8, the Cardinals.
29?
Yeah, 29-8 Cardinals.
What?
Yeah, for spring training.
So just to throw out like crazy scores, did you see that the Penguins for hockey, Pittsburgh Penguins set a record? First
Oh
team,
no.
first hockey team ever to score 11 goals in regulation.
Dang.
They scored 11 goals in regulation. First team to ever do it.
That's crazy.
Right?
Oh gosh. Well, yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there though, because that was like a football score, but it was freaking baseball. So baseball, yay, it's back. At least spring training. So but yeah, so NBA, we haven't been able to talk about that a lot, and it's good because it's starting to get closer and closer to the end of the regular season. Let's start with the Eastern Conference. So as of right now, the Miami Heat are in first. They what's clinched the division. So they've already clinched their division, the Heat have. So they're good. The Bucks are in second. The 76ers are third. Celtics are fourth. My Chicago Bulls are in fifth. The Toronto Raptors are sixth. And then after that, it basically goes into the like play-in matchups, which would be 7 is the Cleveland Cavaliers, 8 is the Brooklyn Nets. Like, what the hell happened to the Brooklyn Nets?
Right? They traded James Harden and they fell off. Like,
Harden wasn't doing anything to help them though either. Though it's
but they
just
were
like
winning
stop.
games. They were winning
Eh,
games when they had Harden. They were in like sixth place when they
yeah,
had Harden, and then they dropped to eighth.
yeah. I mean, they had lost like 8 or 9 in a row when they had Harden. Like it was not good. But yeah, and then ninth is the Charlotte Hornets, and then 10th is the Atlanta Hawks. And then the only two teams that still have a chance is either the New York Knicks or the Washington Wizards. Because the Pacers, the Pistons, and the Magic have all been eliminated. So the Knicks or the Wizards still have a chance to play in. Now the East, my Bulls, I know DeRozan had come out and like basically said that the team needs to step up, that they're not playing as well as what they were at the beginning of the season, and I definitely agree with that. Um, I'm hoping once playoff time comes, playoff playing is like so much different than actual regular season playing. Like teams step it up a lot differently during the postseason than they do the regular season. So. Um, I'm
The
hoping
Heat were proof of that last year.
yeah, and the Bucks I think are still highly favored. I mean, I know they're in second right now, but again, they don't really care about what place they're in. They just care that they're in. And so I think the Bucks kind of have a lot of momentum right now. The 76ers, after getting Harden, have a lot of momentum right now. I would say those are my top two teams that I feel out of the East. I feel like the 76ers or the Bucks could come out of the East, for that matchup. Let's go over to the West. So the Western Conference right now, number one is the Phoenix Suns. They have a star, so
They
well,
clinched.
they have the best record. They clinched the best league record. So
Yeah,
um,
they clinched the Western Conference. Like,
yeah, the Grizzlies, who came out of nowhere, man. They have a lot of momentum right now. They're in second. They've clinched their division. The Mavericks making a hard push as well, kind of came out of nowhere. They've clinched a playoff berth already. So the Western Conference already has three teams that have clinched. Um, Golden State there in fourth place. The Denver Nuggets in fifth, the Utah Jazz in sixth, which the Jazz are kind of more going downhill here recently because they keep on blowing these big leads. They were up by like 21 points last night and lost to the Clippers. And then the play-in game matchups are seventh place is the Minnesota Timberwolves. Eight is the LA Clippers. Nine is the Pelicans. Like really, the Pelicans?
yeah, the
Um,
Pelicans are solid, dude.
and then the 10th is the Lakers, which I thought I saw somewhere. I read an article that they were out of the play in because
Not
they
yet.
lost to the Mavericks, but it looks like they still have a shot.
Yeah,
Um,
they're half a game up on San Antonio right now to be in the 10th spot. San Antonio's in the 11th spot, half a game behind them.
gosh,
But the Lakers have lost three straight. In their last 10, they're 3-7. They have
gosh.
they have a losing record, 31-44. Like, it's crazy.
And they were supposed to be like one of the top contenders, and they might not even get into the playoffs if the freaking Spurs overtake them. And then the other two teams that have a chance are the Kings, excuse me, and the Trailblazers. The OKC, OKC is eliminated. Sorry, my good friend. And then the Rockets have been eliminated as well.
I knew my team wasn't doing anything this year. Like, we don't have any superstars on our team. Like, the
Yeah,
closest we have is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and then that rookie kid, Josh, or yeah, it's Josh something. I can't remember his last name, but that kid's been spectacular. Like,
yeah,
he won Rookie of the Month like 3 months in a row because
yeah. I
he's almost averaging a triple double.
gosh. Yeah, I would say the Western Conference is I feel like a lot more stacked than the Eastern Conference. Like I feel like the top four teams all could have a chance. Like the Suns could, the Grizzlies could, the Mavericks could, and the Warriors. Like
The Jazz and the Nuggets could be in there too. Like, if they come playoff and they play like they should, Like you can't count out Jokic and you can't count out Mitchell. Like
Yeah.
it's all dependent on how well they play as a team. You know that because the Jazz have beaten all of the teams above them. The Grizzly or the Nuggets have beat all the teams above them. So I mean, you can't really count those guys out either. If they make a good push at the end of the season and push like the Jazz are on a 5-game losing streak. I think that's their first 5-game losing streak all year. But
Yeah.
so I mean, we'll see what they do. Here's hoping that they play better. But
Yeah, true. And like I said, there's not very many games left before it will be the postseason.
yeah, there's like 6
Um,
or 7 games left for most teams.
yeah, I was gonna say I'm trying to see here.
Like the Suns have 6 more.
Yeah, it looks like April
Grizzlies have
6th. April 6th is
5.
when it's done.
Yeah,
So April 6th will be, or not April 6th, sorry, April 10th. So April 10th will be the last games, and then that'll be it.
maybe I'll throw some
So
bets down on in Vegas. 'Cause
what you
I'll
you
be in
said
Vegas.
you are
Maybe I will
maybe.
throw
So
like $40 down and see if I can win some money off some games.
So I mean, obviously I'll be cheering for my Bulls. I think we could at least get out of the first round, but after that, I'm not so sure because we can't rely on DeRozan and Levine to carry the team like come playoff time for 6 games. So, but I feel like we could at least get out of the first round. Um, and then, like I said, the West, obviously I'll root for the Jazz. They're kind of my second team, but I feel like the Suns are kind of just superior to everybody else, and also the Grizzlies. And I think Morant should honestly be MVP this year. Like I
Yeah,
think they should give it to him.
yeah, absolutely. Like Memphis was in the dumpster last year. They were a dumpster fire last year. They're second freaking place. Like, and nobody can really catch them
Yeah,
into second place. And they can't catch the Suns either because they only have 6 games left or 7 games left, something like that, maybe 5. But yeah, they have 5 games left. But dude, John Morant has stepped up and shown that he's a superstar.
yeah.
He's not just some college guy that came in and started playing. Like he's definitely a superstar. And they don't even have a big 3 in Memphis. They have John Morant. Like,
Yeah, and they've been stepping up on defense like so hard. Like they kind of have the old school mentality of like play hard defense and then let your superstar do the scoring. Like just let Morant like take over the game. So they kind of have an old school mentality, and it's definitely showing through and proving to be good. I kind of want the Suns to win. I feel bad that they didn't win last season. I felt like they should have. So and I want, Chris Paul to get his ring, so he can just call it good. Devin Booker kind of stepped up last season and proved that he's a superstar. So, some of these younger guys are finally stepping up and trying to take over the roles of people that should be leaving, like a LeBron or people like that. So I think the Lakers kind of disperse next season. I feel like they're not going to be able to. I don't think Anthony Davis will be happy. I think he'll want out. Because Westbrook is causing all kinds of rifts, and LeBron I think might finally be like, okay, yeah, I can't do it anymore. Like I can't
so
be a GM and a player. Like
so speaking of Westbrook, the Lakers have already come out and said that they're going to try to offload him somewhere. They're going to try to trade him off simply because of what he's owed next year.
well, yeah, that's a good
For,
reason to do it too. Then
for next year, Russell Westbrook is owed $51.8 million
dang.
for 1 year.
For
It's
1 year.
because, well, they gave him this max contract, but they did like a little bit the first couple years when he was with OKC, and then they traded him to Houston. And then Houston traded him to Washington. Washington traded him into the Lakers. Well, the Lakers end up getting the last 2 years, which is where the bulk of that contract was. It
Yeah.
was like 5 years, 180 million or something like that they gave him. So Lakers got hit this year with half of his salary because Washington got hit with the other half, which I think it was like 40 something million this year. Next year is the final year of the contract, and it's the bulk of his contract at $51.8 million. And it's all due if he's still on the team after a certain date. So they're going to have a hard time offloading him because of that contract and because of the cancer he's become on the teams that he's been on. Like I loved Westbrook when he first came into the league with him and Durant and Harden on the team, and then like we had OKC had a great team, and then he just got too cocky for his own shoes, and he was like, "I'm the best player there is," and he's not.
Yeah, no, that's true. So it'll be interesting to see what team is willing to risk not only all that money, but then, like you said, also him just being a cancer on every team that he goes to. So, but yeah, I think that kind of wraps up a lot of things for us, unless there's something else that you wanted to add in that we left out.
No, not really.
Cool. Well, we will call it good then, and we will end as we always do with our hashtags. Earl Thomas still not signed.
And then we can actually start up the Jadeveon Clowney still not signed again because he's still not signed.
Yeah, I was gonna say we could go through like a whole list now. Just be like, Bobby Wagner still not signed, Jadeveon Clowney still not signed, Stephon Gilmore still not signed.
But the whole thing started with Jadeveon Clowney.
Yeah,
I
it did.
started it with
Yeah,
Jadeveon Clowney, and then it went to
yeah.
Earl Thomas because he finally got signed by the Titans, and then got traded to the Browns.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then our other one, hashtag 30 for 30, Florida Gators. Uh, Larry has sent me links of people on different like social medias, basically sharing the same idea. And he's like, see, it's catching on. Like other people think it should be made as well. And I was just like, oh my gosh, Larry. I was like, I'm not surprised that other people have thought of it as well. I mean, it would be a good idea. So we'll keep that going. The hashtag 30 for 30 Florida Gators. And then as always, you can catch us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, all the major podcast areas. You can look at our lovely mugs on YouTube, and
Like,
you can
subscribe, and share.
Yep, you can like it, subscribe it, share it with your friends. March Madness is still going on. We still have our contest going. We'll know more. It's very close right now. RJ, if you're listening, he might still have a chance to take it from both of us. If Kansas goes all the way and wins it, you win the contest, man, and you get the
So,
hot sauce.
but if Kansas wins it, he wins. If Villanova wins it, I win. If Duke wins, you win. That's all that's left.
That's
It's
all
us
that's left.
three.
Yeah, that's it. So this Saturday, it's gonna be some big games. Definitely watch it. So Duke, North Carolina, huge rivalry, huge, and it's gonna determine who's gonna go to the college championship. And then Villanova and Kansas, and I have Duke and Villanova in the final. So if both of them win, I'm going to be solid. But and then I have Duke winning it all.
I have
So we'll
Nova
see.
winning it all.
Yep, and you have Villanova. So we'll see who takes it, and so keep an eye on that. And we haven't forgotten about it. We're still doing it. Yeah, and like I said, like, share, subscribe, let your friends know, let everybody know, so that way they'll listen. We can get some more views and stuff like that. We can do some more contests, have some more fun with it. But until then, we will catch you guys next week, same time, same place, on the flip side.
Later.
Peace. Deuces.